Numerology is this opportunity for us to understand the natural cycles, rhythms, and patterns of the universe and ourselves. It's a gateway into energetic intelligence. What I love about it is that it's ancient and it's rooted in math and science. And there is so many opportunities for us to grow within this system. It allows us to understand ourselves at a disempowered state and go into the depths of our shadows to learn what our soul came here to do, and also grow into a really empowered version of ourselves. And through that lens of numerology, we also get to understand like what our purpose is, our gifts, what it is that we came here to do. And also one of my favorite things is to understand those contracts that we made with other people in our lifetime.
Welcome to Hopeful and Wholesome, the show where ambitious women come home to their bodies. I'm your host, Hope Pedraza, and I'm a functional practitioner, human design guide, and expert on all things energy, and your partner in decoding the language of your body. This is your space to reconnect with your body's wisdom, reclaim your energy, and rise into alignment in your health, your business, and your life. Because thriving isn't about pushing harder, it's about learning to listen deeper. So let's dive in because your next breakthrough starts right now. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. Today I have on the show AnnMarie McKenzie, and she is a soulful business strategist who empowers purpose-driven entrepreneurs to grow their business through authentic soulmate client attraction. She is a certified professional numerologist, speaker, psychic spiritual teacher, and heart-conscious leader that weaves the magical with the practical while blending energetics with strategy to elevate consciousness and build sustainable businesses. And today we are diving into numerology, and I'm so excited for this conversation because I've been fascinated by numerology for so long. And you know I love anything that helps us dive deeper into us, and this is just another tool we have available to us. And so AnnMarie is going to dive into what is numerology, how it can support us in our life and our relationships and our business, how we can determine our energetic code, because just like all the other tools I love to talk about, like human design, there's an energetic coding here that's available to us, how to understand our numerology birth chart, what numerology can tell us about the year that we're in right now and that we're finishing up and what's in store for us, and how we can really use this to just get in more soulful, energetic alignment with where we are designed to go. I am excited to bring you this conversation and for AnnMarie to teach you a little something today. So let's jump in. All right, y'all, I'm here with AnnMarie. I'm so excited for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Hope. I'm excited to have this conversation and to connect with your community.
Hey, me too. I am so curious about numerology. I've just dabbled. Like I'm definitely not anywhere near an expert or like well-versed in this, just enough to dabble and like know a couple things. But as we mentioned before, before we hit record, I heard you on a friend's podcast and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to her. This is so cool. So I'm excited for this. And I want to just start with giving the listeners just the explanation, like what is numerology?
Numerology is this opportunity for us to understand the natural cycles, rhythms, and patterns of the universe and ourselves. It's a gateway into energetic intelligence. What I love about it is that it's ancient and it's rooted in math and science. And there is so many opportunities for us to grow within this system. It allows us to understand ourselves at a disempowered state and go into the depths of our shadows to learn what our soul came here to do, and also grow into a really empowered version of ourselves. And through that lens of numerology, we also get to understand like what our purpose is, our gifts, what it is that we came here to do. And also one of my favorite things is to understand those contracts that we made with other people in our lifetime. I love this. This is so good already. Okay. So, well, before I ask you next, I always like to hear the story. How did you get into numerology? By accident. Right. But yet not. Yeah. Yeah. I had declared to a friend that this was going to be the year that I would get on track with my abundance. So long story short, I started this business as a side hustle in 2014 after I lost my mother to cancer. And I started doing workshops and retreats for women rooted in heart intelligence, like helping well, myself, this was a part of my journey, but helping women really understand how it is that they wanted to feel and build this beautiful handcrafted life and business that they love because of our emotional feelings. Because I'm a recovering A type, so I have a tendency to be overly productive and burn out all the time. And it just, many of the projects and things that I was saying yes to just wasn't fulfilling me anymore because it just didn't feel how it is that I wanted to feel. So I went all in 2018 and then moved to a new city in 2019, 2020, thinking that that was how I was going to grow and expand my business. And we all know what happened in 2020. So the universe had a very different plan for myself and many other people. And I was forced to move online. And so there was a little bit of a disruption in my business because of that shift of not being able to hold space for people personally. So I declared this to a friend that I was learning in this process of learning new pathways of sustainability in my business. And she said, hey, I think you should join this free 5-day thing. And it was about numerology. And the woman spoke directly to me through the entire 5-day series. You know, those experiences where you feel like they're speaking directly to you, they're in your thoughts, they're in your feelings. I remember having questions and I didn't even put it in the chat, and then she would answer it right away.
So crazy.
And a lot of the information that she was sharing, it wasn't coming through as information. It was coming through as truth, as like a remembering. Like when she would say it, I was remembering that, oh yeah, it was like, I already know this. There was a lot of, I already know this. So it was a little bit uncomfortable for a while to accept that possibly I have probably been a numerologist in many different lives. But once I tuned into that possibility and that truth, the floodgates open in terms of understanding it. And so it was virtually impossible to not integrate it into absolutely everything that I do. And what was interesting for me is having that knowledge and information of understanding the predictive patterns that I have and that the universe has. It immediately doubled my income in my business. My soulmate clients started showing up, and not that I was working with people that I didn't like by any means. Like I had wonderful clients, but there was a specific person of where they're at and their problems and their challenges that I wanted to work with, like that go-getter, the person who wanted to get shit done, but also just didn't want to burn out or move into the stress and overwhelm like they were used to. So soulmate clients started to show up. And then the other thing that I really noticed is that it collapsed timelines for my own clients. So instead of, like, I used to spend 8 to 12 weeks to support women to understand how they wanted to feel, like a core feeling. I call it the heart compass. And looking at somebody's energetic code, looking at their numerology chart, I immediately know exactly how it is that they want to feel based on their numbers and their blueprint. And so we were able to have these real authentic conversations in a first meeting. And that person, that new client coming through, felt completely seen, validated. And we could also easily go into the problems and the challenges that they're experiencing, because literally numerology shows me a soul's curriculum. So I'm able to share that with people. And again, they don't even have to be the one that articulates it. I know, for example, well, I crunched your numbers, so I know possibly
Please do
soul's curriculum and some of your challenges as well. And, you know, from there forward, it's just been this beautiful journey of supporting other spiritual entrepreneurs to understand all of this as well, and to use this information to attract their own soulmate clients authentically, to also understand when it's the right time to launch something or not, go on vacation or not, and also craft their offers, like to understand the services that they are here to provide their soulmate clients, because again, it's a part of their soul's curriculum. They're the one who has walked that path before. They understand it. And so therefore, they're the best person to guide their clients up that mountain.
I love that. That's so cool. I just love this stuff. So when you're talking about, because I think everybody listening can resonate with what you said about the type A, maybe those who like to overwork and burn out, I think we can all relate to that. So what do you think it was for you specifically that in your numerology, like I get maybe which aspect, you can answer it however you want, but that helped you and how you help your clients to avoid that part? Because I think everyone listening, that's the whole, I mean, that's the premise of most of what we talk about here on the show, is like, how can we do this sustainably without having to sacrifice our mind or our body in the process? So what aspects do you feel like helped you the most with that?
It comes back to this one phrase: focus creates expansion. And when I look at the word focus and we break it down, it's follow one course until successful. And ultimately, when we're experiencing burnout, it's because we're trying to do all the things and we're not meant to do all the things. So when we're able to see our own energetic blueprint, we know exactly what it is that we are supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be delegating. And so it provides us this like permission granted. It's always the vision that I have. It's like this magic wand. It's like, okay, you are allowed to just be who you came here to be. And everybody's like, like it's this sigh of relief that we don't have to be all of these other things that we were told to be, that we are allowed to just show up as that full expression of what our soul chose to be in this lifetime. So for myself, I think one of the biggest realizations for me, and other people had said it to me before, but I didn't really fully accept it because it was just too easy. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your zone of genius, right? Everybody talks about the zone of genius and you're like, and it takes so long to like fully embody it and actually integrate it because you're like, this can't be true because it's just way too freaking easy. So when I realized that I was a ruling number 3 and a personal day 11, so the main aspect of my code is 311. I'm literally here to expand people's ideas. And it's no coincidence that a lot of the people that come into my world have multiple ones in their chart. There was this really common pattern of 4 ones. When somebody would show up in my DM, hey, I listened to you on a podcast, so the conversation really resonated with me. I would say, tell me a little bit about your challenges. And I kind of would know already. And then I would say, by any chance, do you have 4 ones in your birthday? And they're like, what? Yes, I was born in November on the 17th and 87 or whatever. And they're like, how did you know that? I see it now. It's because they're the ideators. They're the people. You are as well as a ruling number 10, like somebody who just needs to forge their own path, wants to do things differently, has the ideas, has the innovation, wants to do things differently. But because there's not a lot of people who have done that before, it's scary. And it takes a lot more courage to figure it out because it's difficult to find a mentor, to find a guide. And there's a lot of relying on your own intuition, which if somebody hasn't learned how to strengthen their intuition and listen to their own intuition, a lot of self-doubt comes in and a lot of energetic blocks. So as a 3, I expand ideas. So my clients frequently come to me with too many ideas. Usually we never have a shortage of ideas together. Yes. And then again, I can look at different aspects of their chart to know which one is meant to be expanded right here, right now, and which ones are meant to be on the back burner.
That makes so much sense.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yes. Yeah. No, it is. And you're right, because I think, and I know, so I use human design a lot in my work and I'm a manifesting generator. And so the part about like, you're not supposed to do all the things, like that's so challenging. I mean, it's challenging for everybody because like you said, I don't think most of the time that the shortage of ideas is the problem for entrepreneurs and high performing people. It's like how to figure out which one am I going to run with. So I think I mean, it doesn't matter what your type is. I think that a lot of us, that's where we are. It's like your ideas are like overflowing and then you're like, but which direction do I go? So I love that part where you said, what was the part you said at the beginning? Your mantra there, your motto there, pick one. What did you say?
Focus creates expansion. The acronym for focus is follow one course until successful.
I love that so much. We need to hang this up.
It does not come easily to people who have multiple ones in their chart. It does not come easy to a 10 or a 5, for example, because the energy that 5 and 10 carry is the agent of change. They want to do things differently, but they want variety. They want adventure. They want fun. So, with that energy, they have a tendency to like, oh, I tried something and it didn't work. So pivot. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this thing instead of focus to create expansion, follow one course until successful. And the beautiful thing is, there's so many different business coaches out there. I find that they became a coach and then they got a few clients and then they're like, now I help other coaches like develop their business. And it really chaps my spiritual ass, I guess you could say, because many of them have never run a business before. And so they provide these cookie cutter strategies. They're like, just do what I did and you're going to experience success. And it doesn't work. I would say more and more clients are coming into my world. Like I obviously I'm like, here's a link, buy, jump into this program, but I give them the opportunity to book with me because so many people have been burned hard. I threw a lot of money at this problem. I was given this strategy and I tried it and it didn't work. And I don't understand because it works for so many people. And it's because we have a business blueprint as well. It's embedded in our energetic code. And so I'm able to help them see that misguided advice. I remember an example is somebody was told by another business coach to not start a membership because it takes too much work.
Oh, wow.
It requires too much effort. And I immediately was like, and this person has 2 in their chart. So you do as well. You have double 2s. You are if I remember correctly, personal day 2, because you were born on the 20th. So there's like an amplification of this for you. You're meant to build community. That's what you want to do. You love partnerships and community and collaborations and holding space for other people. And so it's a perfect fit. Is it difficult to create a membership in your business? Yes, but so is everything. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. If you're like one-to-one or group programs or hybrid, it doesn't matter. If you've never, it's all work, it's all effort, but it's providing sustainability in your business. So again, if somebody has that 2 energy, I say just stick with it. Just commit to it, create that space, carve it out. Even if nobody signed up, choose the date, choose the time, carve that out of your calendar. Don't ever let anybody or anything book into that. And every time that shows up in your calendar, you're sitting in that space for a moment and just calling in soulmate clients for that experience and see what happens. If you get a couple people to start off with, great. Just keep trusting that it's going to grow and expand.
Yeah. No, that's such good advice. So when you talk about the energetic code, our energetic code, how do we figure that part out?
There's layers upon layers upon layers. But what I love about numerology is that it's so simple. It's complex, but it's really simple to know and understand. So the first main energy that we carry is by adding each digit in our birthday as an individual number and add that up and reduce it down to a number between 2 to 11 or 22 or 33. The numerology that I practice, I have a belief system that main energy that we carry, we're not coded to the number 1 because that represents God, goddess, all that is, oneness. So that's a little bit of a difference. When you research numerology online, you'll see life path 1, for example. In my numerology, the code is not 1 for the ruling number. So that first number is the main energy that you carry. It is the true essence of who it is that we are. In a lot of cases, it's sometimes the most difficult for us to accept about ourselves, which is quite interesting. But it's also what our soulmate clients immediately are attracted to. The numbers 11, 22, 33, they stay those numbers because they're called master numbers. And when I say master number, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are special and above all the other numbers. In a way they are, but it's because they have chosen a more difficult path in this lifetime. Think of it this way, that their soul, I believe that before we incarnate on earth, we make a declaration. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to learn. And these are the people that are going to support me in this. So when somebody comes in coded with a master number, and I have master 11 in my personal day energy, it means that we specifically chose a more challenging path in order to master the energy of that number. Makes sense, right? Extra tests, basically. Extra spiritual assignments in order to make sure that we really integrated and embodied the information and the lessons from that. The second energy that we carry is through the day that we were born. So if you were born on the 1st, then that would be the energy of 1. And we're usually reducing that number down between 1 to 9. And basically every other aspect of numerology, I'm just double checking that as I'm saying it. When we move into cardology, it gets into different numbers, but we're generally working with that 1 to 9 cycle, which is a manifestation cycle. So again, the numerology that I study it allows it to be simpler because we're reducing it to numbers 1 to 9. There's a little bit of controversy about it because it's very Western numerology, but in my opinion, it's like if it makes it easier for people to understand it and to integrate the magic into their everyday life, then why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah, for sure.
So the personal day number, we reduce it down, but you also could look at your personal day number. Say if you were born on the 23rd, yes, it is that 5 energy, but what does the 2 energy mean? And what does the 3 energy mean? So we also carry that as well. So those are the first 2 that I start with. And then there's, again, layers upon layers. There's an energetic grid. We map the birthday in this energetic grid, and we have arrows of influence. You have something called the arrow of curiosity and skepticism. So you are the child that would ask why all the time. When I saw the certifications that you hold, I was like, this girl got 10 energy going on, or something like the arrow of curiosity and skepticism. Like, you love to learn. You love to learn.
Yep.
You love the accolades. Like, and it's a good thing. You're so curious and you always want to know more, and you want to go to the depths of something through your research.
True.
You don't just take things for face value. So those aspects of our code provide us with some really cool insights as well, because I see it as how we can call our power back to us by managing our energy better. So an example with this arrow of curiosity and skepticism is sometimes you forget why you went down that path in the first place because you're so hyper-focused on the research instead of coming back to what's the purpose of gathering this information in the first place. That makes sense, right?
Yep, for sure. 100%.
So you're still diving into it, still learning, still growing. And it's kind of like it's done. It's been done a long time and you're still going down this path, but you know the information that you needed. And also, how can you trust your intuition? Like, instead of always having to know the facts, how can you learn to trust your intuition by still asking questions, but then receiving that information and being able to decipher what's the truth and what's not?
Makes a lot of sense. That resonates a lot.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at, so I with you on the soul contract thing, and I know that's a big piece of it. So when we're looking at, because you said that your purpose and your gifts and your contracts, like all of that is stuff that we can find in our numerology. Mm-hmm. With the contracts, how to phrase the question I want to ask. How do you help people? So say somebody has like those numbers you were talking about, kind of those master numbers, and they have these maybe more intense lessons that they're here to learn when they're on this earth. How do you recommend, I don't know if there's strategies or just mindset, or if it's whatever, but helping people kind of navigate that, like are there other parts of the chart that can help them navigate those more difficult challenges? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's a tough question to answer. So there's this, and I know that you and your listeners will resonate with this as well. There's always this work to be done.
Sure.
And sometimes we're like, can I just be good?
Right. Can I be?
Yeah. And the reality is you are amazing exactly as you are, as is right here, right now. You're where you're supposed to be. So coming into that acceptance and that mindset of trusting that right here, right now is who I'm supposed to be. And also this realization that we chose Earth School, which is extremely dense. And the galaxy kind of like bows down to any soul that chooses to come to Earth School because it's so dense. And the cool thing is that whatever we choose to do in Earth School is reverberating out into the universe. So whatever low vibration, and I truly believe that we all have the same purpose, and that's to raise the vibration of this planet because it's so dense, that whatever it is that we are doing, as long as we are moving in this direction of taking the low vibration, low frequency, the low energy of our own code, that is supporting the collective consciousness. Again, I invite people to always start with like their big main energy first. I know for myself, looking at the three, when it's not so great, not at the top of its game, is in its head all the time. And this causes a lot of anxiety. It has a tendency to create stories that aren't true. So I definitely used to be somebody that I would have a thought and like 10 minutes later, doom and gloom. The story that I created and the path that I would go down would be this terrible, awful, horrible thing. And I'd kind of shake myself out of it. I'm like, how did I even get there? Accepting that about yourself, that's a tough pill to swallow. But accepting that about yourself gives you the opportunity to stop those stories before they go too far, to learn how to practice mindfulness, be present in the moment. Again, call our power back by not allowing that to grow to that terrible, awful, horrible thing. And I've managed to, I definitely still feel anxious. I lost my cat in March and I noticed my anxiety levels go through the roof. Yeah, it was so hard. I mean, she was my familiar for sure. And we had an extremely special connection. But I didn't really realize how much she supported me in my anxiety because she would lay on top of me all the time. And then when she was gone, I said to my partner, I'm like, I'm feeling, he's like, what's up with, like, he can feel it. He's an empath as well. And he was like, what's up with you? I'm like, my anxiety is going through the roof. And even that in itself, I have to stop myself and I'm not anxiety. I'm feeling anxious. I'm not a person with anxiety. I'm a person with anxious feelings to be able to detach myself from that connection. And I would say my anxiousness is through the roof. And he said, do you know what's happening? And I said, it's because Tegan's not with me anymore. She would lay on top of me and I had somebody to talk to every day, all day. Like I work by myself, for myself. I mean, I have a team, but they're all online. So her and I would have like staff meetings every day. We would time to go have a snacky on the patio. So this routine was off. And bless his heart, he said, grab that meditation pillow, that weighted one, and put it on top of yourself. Like, oh, so for weeks I had to do that for 10, 15 minutes before bed just to feel that energy of like the weight on my chest. So I recommend always starting with that first number, that ruling number, because that's the most important. That's the main energy that we carry. That is, we extend our energy at least 30 feet out. So that's the main energy that we are sending out. So if we are in that low vibration, that low frequency of that energy, then that's what we're sending out into the world. And then that's what we're attracting as well. So when I'm in those states, I would notice as well that my clients would show up on my calls and they would have very anxious feelings. And so that's on me as a practitioner to make sure I get my shit together before I show up on that call. So that way, if they are in anxious feelings, that I'm not amplifying it with my own anxiousness and that we're not feeding into each other. That there's this opportunity for me to disrupt that energy and support them to transmute their energy as well. Yeah.
Hey, y'all, we'll get right back to the episode. But first, let me ask you this. You've built a vision that others admire. And you've built something that you're really proud of. But behind the scenes, your body feels like it's lagging behind. It just can't quite catch up to your brilliance and your mission that you have. That late night second wind, the foggy mornings, the hormone shifts, the endless push and forcing. You can't strategize your way out of that. And you already know you don't need more supplements. You don't need another supplement stack. You also don't need another side hustle disguised as self-care because nobody wants to have their health as a side hustle. This is about recalibrating your entire ecosystem. And that's why I created the Quantum Reset, a premium 3-month high-touch healing experience for visionary women who are ready to feel as powerful in their bodies as they do in their business. Inside, we decode your nervous system, your minerals, your hormones. We read your labs like the sacred text that it is, so we have actual answers. And then we pair that with deep energetic recalibration, subconscious release. We use gene keys, use human design, and true embodied healing. This isn't about fixing burnout, because that's not what we're doing here. This is about becoming the woman whose body is powerful, whose body is completely electric, whose energy, clarity, radiance finally matches the size of her mission. If you know your success isn't meant to cost you your vitality and you're ready for a science-backed, spirit-led reset, then the Quantum Reset is your invitation. So check the link in the show notes or send me a message on Instagram, and let's bring your body back online with your brilliance. Now, let's get back to the show.
That was a great answer. I know that was a hard question, and that was such a great answer. And when you were talking about the parts, it reminds me, I don't know if you've read the book, There Are No Bad Parts, but it reminds me of that, where you're saying, like, if we can just accept those parts, like, it's such a good book. And if anybody listening's never read it, I highly recommend it. But it's like just, the idea of parts integration, but what you're saying, like accepting those parts. And I think that, so I also did want to ask you, you were talking about the ruling number. So what was mine? What did you say my ruling number was?
10.
It was 10. Okay. So that's the 10. And then 2 was the personal day number. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I think this is such a good tool to help us be able to, like, just another way to help us accept all parts of us is like understanding all of like this, the numerology is just another way for us to be able to like see those parts of us and accept those parts of us and love those parts of us. I think that's such a great way to use it.
And in business, it's absolutely incredible. Again, as ruling number 3, I'm meant to get paid for my creativity. That's one of those things that I was talking about before where I'm like, this seems too easy. People are going to pay me for my ideas, really? And I'll some good money sometimes too. And I'm human. I needed validation. When I first realized this, I remember connecting with a client I was working with, a husband and wife duo who have like a brick and mortar company, and it's related to fireplaces. And we were talking about their strategic plan and, looking ahead at, what it would look like, what we had to do right here, right now in order to sell it someday. And we were talking about generosity and giving back because I take a very holistic approach to life and to business in terms of goal setting. And we were talking about how they'd be a part of galas and these like community events. But because of 2020, everything shifted and those events didn't occur anymore. And so they were like, we just don't know what to do because people still don't want to like hang out in a parking lot over a barbecue and, play games and stuff like that. And I said, well, what if you were to give, a portion of your business to reforestation? And she sat there looked at me and said, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. I'm like, right. The new generation would definitely choose to purchase products from that company that gives back to planting trees versus another company that has the exact same that doesn't. And that was my aha moment where I'm like, right, I'm meant to get paid for my ideas and my creativity because it comes naturally and it comes easy to me. And I love that it's supporting people in business, again, because focus creates expansion. So there's so many possibilities. There's so many ways as spiritual entrepreneurs that we can go out there and share our gifts and fulfill our purpose and create a legacy. But again, it can be overwhelming because there's so many possibilities. There's so many different things that we can do and so many ways that we can do it. And the truth is it all works, but it's not going to work for everybody. Right. And so being able to see like, oh, this is who I am and this is what I came here to do. And this is the legacy I came here to create. This makes sense. Now I'm just going to go and focus on that.
Isn't it funny how we question when things are easy? Like we question, I think it's why so many of us have such a hard time stepping into our aligned purpose, because it's like what you're meant to do should come easy to you. And we're like, wait, it can't be that easy. It's just so funny. We resist it for so long. So we're like, no, that can't be it. It's too easy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Create so many breakdowns to breakthroughs. Like that was my experience with numerology. There was so many breakdowns to breakthroughs because I was learning things about myself that I knew, but I wasn't accepting. And that happens for a lot of my clients as well. And I know for me, having that 11 energy, and there's even a whole other system that we don't have time to talk about today, but my sun card is a 7 of clubs, which is literally the spiritual teacher. And so is the 11. And so to be told, hey, you are meant to be a spiritual teacher in this lifetime, it crushed me. And it was because I've known this since I was a teenager. And yet I've hidden that to a lot of people. I didn't show up admitting that, I'm a witch and I do things with the moon and I have psychic ability. I've studied many different types of religion. I'm not a religious person and I don't necessarily subscribe to any specific organized religion, but I do have a connection to God's source, all it is. And I believe in the Divine Father and the Divine Mother, and I have a strong connection with a divine council with my spiritual support team. And even that in itself, 5, 6, 7 years ago now, like I would not be talking about this.
Yeah.
Especially on a podcast.
Yeah.
Let alone around a campfire with a group of friends that have known me for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to own those parts of you. That was a similar experience when I found human design. It's like all the parts that I tried to hide or like, no, that can't be it. It was like, oh, there they are. And now I can accept them. You don't have to fight it and try to like reject those parts of you. So that's, it does require.
How liberating, isn't it?
100%. 100%. Yes, it's amazing. Okay, we could talk about this for the next 5 hours, but for everybody listening, to give you a place to start, I feel like AnnMarie just gave you a really good place to start, and starting with those two parts. So it was your ruling number and then your personal day number, like starting with those, I think is we have a good starting place. Okay, I do have one last question that I want to ask you that I ask everybody, but before I do that, can you let everybody know where they can find out more about you, and if there's anything that you want them to go check out that might help them, getting started with numerology?
Absolutely. My website is AnnMarieMcKenzie.com because I'm smart. I've purchased all the incorrect ways to spell
Oh my
my
gosh.
name.
I mean,
You to my website still.
Get it.
I like to truthfully, I don't like to play on social media. I have to do it.
I feel
business. So I do have connection with people on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm building out my YouTube channel. And I would highly recommend the best place to start is heading over to YouTube and watching the 2025 energy forecast. And I've also started posting the monthly forecast there as well.
Nice.
So these forecasts tune into the energetics of the collective. That is the universal cycles, patterns, energies that we are all going through. So yes, you can do some personal work on yourself, but it's really important to know that in 2025, it's a universal 9 energy year. So the collective is going through a massive shedding. It's also the year of the snake. And this is the time for us to rise from the shadows and lead with light. And so in order to do that, you have to go to the shadow. In order to go to the shadows, understand one of the aspects of your energetic code and literally go to the challenges of it right away. Like, what are the not so great things about myself and this number? And what can I do in order to let go, release, forgive, heal, shed, love up on those parts so that way I can show up in more light. It's a great way to start. And within those forecasts, I do my best to not only speak from the lens of like what we're going to experience in life, but what it means for us in our business as well, what we can do, different content that we can create. Those people that just pop into your inbox, they've written an email and you're like, were you in my meditation this morning? Or did you read my journal, that thing that I wrote last night? It's because they're tuned into the energy of the collective and what it is that we're all experiencing. So by having that knowledge and that information, it supports you as well to be able to create content that's really going to resonate, and also understand divine timing cycles, again, when it's best to launch something or not. Some people, for example, don't do very well launching things in a 9 energy, but because I know my energetic code and I have double 9s and a 9 of heart in my moon, I'm very familiar with 9 energy. So it's a little bit easier for me to rock and roll with it. So I would say start there. And if anybody's interested in, hanging out and connecting with me, I have a monthly membership. We hang out twice a month in the Numerology of Business Collective. And we talk about the universal energy in the first session. And the second time we meet, we discuss specifically things about our energetic code.
I love that. That's perfect. I love the opportunities there. So I'll put all that in the show notes. So go check that out and go follow her YouTube channel, because I feel like that is such a great place to dive into all the things. And then there's a link to the energy forecast. So I'll put all of that in the show notes. So the last question I want to ask you, AnnMarie, is what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
Accept that your purpose is always changing. We go through seasons and cycles, and the one universal constant is change. So learn how to be an agent of change and be a part of change instead of going against it. And follow your intuition. Listen to your own heart. Listen to your energetic code. These are all energetic intelligence is giving us insights into how to communicate with the universe. It's literally the language of our soul and the language of the universe. So once you learn how to communicate with the universe, then listen to it.
And you've given us such great tools to start with. So this is
Thank
perfect.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much for this conversation. And I just love listening to you talk. And I love listening to you talk about this. I know everybody is going to go check out everything you've got going on and start to learn from you and integrate all this into their lives. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
I really appreciate this opportunity to have this chat with you and again, to connect with your community. Thank you.